everyone. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams with my buddy, Mr. Chris King. Chris, always good to see you. Happy Tuesday to you, my friend.
Happy Tuesday to you too, Jim.
All kinds of fun, crazy stuff is going on here these days. And anything yesterday that piqued your interest?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out why the Falcons traded Matt Ryan, so they're going to chew up $40 million in dead cap space. You know, there's that. You've got the fact that now where's Baker Mayfield going to go, because that's where he wanted to go, is Indianapolis. Is he going to have a job anywhere? And, we've seen some interesting stuff at the trade deadline in hockey. We saw a lot of guys get moved. Including one guy who didn't want to get moved to where he was moved to. That was Vegas dealing Evgeny Dadonov to Anaheim, and it would be interesting to see how that's going to play out. Apparently, he had Anaheim on his 10-team no-trade list when he was traded from Ottawa to Vegas, and Vegas never got a copy of that. At least that's what they're saying.
Well, that's the kind of thing that you want not to screw up, but sometimes it happens. Let's take a moment to talk about one of our two big BetMGM situations that we have coming. And today, we're going to start with this one. Now, BetMGM is going to give new customers a risk-free bet on your first sports wager up to $1,000. Only new players are eligible for this bonus, and it must be claimed within 7 days after signing up. Now, once that happens, once you put and create an account, make your first deposit, and bet any real sports money on, of $10 up to $1,000, you're going to match it, and that gives you just some house money to play with. So it's a great deal. All you have to do is check our show box below for all the information on the first of two big things coming from our buddies at BetMGM. And remember, you must be 21 years of age, always wager responsibly. Speaking of wagering responsibly, we're going to move to college basketball, where Southern Utah, the Thunderbirds, and the UTEP Miners tip off in a basketball game tonight that is of interest to pretty much those who are in Utah and in the El Paso area.
I thought you were going to say literally dozens and dozens of people.
No, I'm trying to be generous here, Christopher.
Well, I mean, Southern Utah, if you like up-tempo basketball, Southern Utah is a team for you. They like to run. We saw them in that. We talked about it with Northern Colorado before. They had that wild 100-95 game they had back on Valentine's Day. Southern Utah, they beat Kent State in the first round of this basketball classic. We've talked about how Kent State probably didn't want to be there after, they lost the MAC title game after the conference intervened and decided to suspend some guys for a Snapchat video. It's not like they went out and robbed a gas station or, knocked off a 7-Eleven. They just put up a video saying, F Akron, and that got them suspended. I think that kind of threw Kent State off of their game. They lost that. They ended up here. They lost to Southern Utah. Meanwhile, UTEP, the Miners, everybody remembers back when, and we were talking with LA yesterday and T-Mac, Tony McClain, and talking about how, back when they were Texas Western, of course, back in the 60s. But, they blew out Western Illinois in the first round to get here. But, Southern Utah, they're an underdog on the road. I'm going to take Southern Utah here. I mean, they're a very good offensive team. They're 23rd in scoring offense at 78.5 points a game. They're shooting 46% from the floor, 54% from two. They knock down almost 8.5 threes a game. UTEP, they're good defensively, but they don't do a whole lot on offense. They're 229th in scoring offense, 69.2 points a game. They're 231st in field goal percentage. They're 263rd in 2-point field goal percentage, 161st in threes, 103rd in 3-point shooting. They're good at the free throw line, so that keeps them in it. Southern Utah struggles defensively, but at least they're playing a team that can't run and gun with them. And Southern Utah is 5-2 in their last 7 overall. I'll take the Thunderbirds and the points. I mean, beating Kent State was a big feather in Todd Simon's cap. And I look for them to, keep rolling here, going into El Paso and walking out of the Don Haskins Center with a victory.
That sounds like a good one, and the Thunderbirds have played very well. There's no question about it. And, they're one of those teams that maybe they should have been in the tournament instead of let's say one of the Big Ten teams. But
that's true. I mean, let's face it. We talked about the Big Ten ad
yeah,
nauseum.
the Big Seven is now the Big Two.
Yes.
But you're talking about Texas Western before they were UTEP, and in the 1968 game, which of course is the famous national championship game that they beat Kentucky, that game was played at Cole Fieldhouse at the University of Maryland. And as we now know, March Madness is crazy, and CBS and Turner paid over $1 billion for the rights. On that particular game, it wasn't televised, by the way. The national championship game in 1968, no television. And the radio was picked up by a local radio station, WTOP, in Washington, and distributed over Mutual Radio. And they paid the NCAA the grand total of $175 for the rights to broadcast the national championship basketball game. How far we have come since 1968.
And what's interesting is the assistant coach to Don Haskins was Mo Iba, the son of Henry Iba, the Hall of Fame basketball coach, who of course developed the motion offense,
right,
and had a long career
long.
coaching. Yeah, at Oklahoma State back when it was still known as Oklahoma A&M.
That's right. Here's a team that we've Here's the team that we've liked over the course of the season. The Bonnies from St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people underestimate St. Bonaventure, but look, they've gone into Colorado. They beat the Buffaloes there.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went to Virginia and took out the Sooners over the weekend. Nobody gave them a chance really in either game. Now they get to go to Virginia. So congratulations, you win in Boulder in the altitude. They send you to Norman. You win there. And instead of getting a home game, you get to go to Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
The Bonnies 22-9. They were 12-5 in the A10. They were 6-4 on the road. Virginia 21-13, 12-8 in the ACC. They are 11-6 at home on the year. The Bonnies are a middle of the road offensive team. They're 201st in scoring offense. They're good at the charity stripe. They don't shoot a lot of threes, which is weird because whenever I watch them on TV, they like to shoot them.
They launch them.
Virginia, of course, the Tony Bennett pack line defense, they're not going to give up a ton of points. They're ninth in the nation at 60.4 points a game. But if you look, Tony Bennett's team still does not score the basketball, to quote Bill Raftery. They don't score the basketball well. They're 341st in scoring offense at 62.7 points a game. They're 112th in field goal percentage. They're 167th in 2-point shooting. They don't shoot perimeter shots at all. They're 350th with 5 triples a night, 251st in 3-point percentage, 130th in free throw percentage. St. Bonaventure still an elite defensive team, and one thing that you can't take away from the Bonnies is experience. Their starting 5 are all seniors. That group of Kyle Lofton, Dominic Welch, Osen Osuniye, Jalen Attaway, and Holmes, very good group that have been there for a while. Mark Schmidt, probably could be in line for a job at a bigger school, but I think he likes it in Olean out there.
Mm-hmm.
The Bonnies 6-2 in their last 8 against teams with a winning record. They're 8-3-1 in their last 12 overall. Virginia just 12-27-2 against the spread in their last 41 after an ATS win. Now Virginia may well win this game, but St. Bonaventure is going to make them grind for it and earn it. I'm going to take the points in the Bonnies just because, I think they're a little more motivated because those seniors know it's the end of the road with a loss, or if they make it to Madison Square Garden, there. Virginia, they just were disappointing this season. They haven't really done a whole lot since they won the title a couple of years ago. And it's hard to trust a Tony Bennett team in the postseason.
James White's UTEP to cover tonight. What do you think?
I don't know. They may well cover, but I'm going to roll with, like I said, Southern Utah. I just think that the Thunderbirds getting points with that offense works in their favor. We saw them outgun some teams this season, and I think that they're in good shape here.
Unknown entity. Let's get it. Okay, buddy, we're there to help you on that one. All right. So, one of the things that's coming up, and we're just talking about college basketball, and we want to let you know about something that's in our show box below, because I said before, pay attention. There's going to be stuff to look out for in the show box below. And this is a Sweet 16 betting guide from our friends and handicappers, one of which Mr. Chris King, right there, is putting out a brand new book. Now, in the show box below, it's not quite finished yet, but it will be. So what you're going to get is, they're hard at work preparing this book from the Sweet 16. It features, insight, articles, help avoid traps, common betting mistakes, find your value plays. Most importantly, you can make the right bet. So go in there and sign up today. And then the moment that book gets out, you'll get it. Now, we also have a bracket challenge coming up here. And what we're going to do is take your prediction and challenge the Elite Eights this weekend and prove that you really know what's going on in basketball, okay? Now, the round 8 games, we're going to set up 15 questions, battery comprising of side totals, props, and other predictions in the Elite 8 games. If you happen, you just answer yes or no to the questions, and what do you think? You're going to, give it a bet you win or not. Guess all 15 right, and guess what? You're going to get in a cash jackpot that will pay the winner $1,000. Okay.
Well, but if you get them all, you get more than that.
Yeah. So the key here is to go in, check it out, and get ready to enter. All right. You will have that opportunity. Time to get an entry is in there, so check it out in the show box below. Okay, everybody? So all the information is in the show box below. Click the link. The link will give you all that you need to know, and you can have some fun with it. So having fun, let's move on to the NHL. And we got some games there tonight. The Rangers and the Devils, a little cross-river rivalry between the Rangers and the Devils. Not as much of a rivalry as it used to be, but definitely something.
Yeah, as they say, familiarity breeds contempt, and that's basically what we've got with these two teams.
Mm-hmm.
When you're that geographically close, there's going to be some bitterness, especially going back to the 90s with Lou Lamoriello and, Jacques Lemaire and the left wing lock and everything else. The Rangers 40-18-5. They're 20-12-2 on the road. The Devils 22-35-5. Not a great record. They're 14-14-3 at home. Going to be Igor Shesterkin, 38-3 with a 205 goals against, a 938 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. Between the pipes, it's supposed to be Nico Dawes for the Devils, who was 6-6 with a 299 goals against and a 902 save percentage. The Devils playing the front half of a back-to-back. They'll play Toronto tomorrow night, I believe, north of the border. The Rangers are 18th in goals for at 2.94, but they're third in goals against at 2.51. Meanwhile, the Devils are slightly better offensively. They're 16th in the league in goals for at 3 a night. They're 29th in goals against at 3.58. The Rangers 4-0 in the last 4 times when they played the fourth game of a 4-game and 6-night situation like they are here. They're 4-1 in their last 5 overall. They're 4-1 in their last 5 after scoring 2 goals or less in their last contest. The Devils just 1-4 in their last 5 against the Metropolitan Division. They're 2-9 in their last 11 against the Eastern Conference. And this hasn't been much of a series of late, Jim. You look, the Rangers have won the last 5 meetings here at the Prudential Center in Newark, and they've won the last 8 meetings between these teams overall. With the Rangers cruising to a playoff berth and the Devils cruising to the draft lottery, I don't look for that to change here. I look for the Rangers to get another win as they try to keep pace with both the Hurricanes, the Panthers, or not the Panthers, the Penguins, and the Capitals in a crowded Metropolitan Division race.
Absolutely, very crowded. All right, for the Rangers and the Devils, we head to
parts unknown. No,
parts unknown.
We're going to head to Cowtown.
There you go.
The Calgary Flames.
That is parts unknown. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Taking on the San Jose Sharks. Our good buddy Ryan, Sharks fan. Hopefully he won't tune in tonight because it could be a bloodbath. The Sharks 27, 27, and 8. They're 12, 13, and 4 on the road. Meanwhile, the Flames 38, 16, and 8 on the year, 19, 5, and 6 at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome. I liked it better when they called it the Olympic Saddle Dome, of course, from the 88 Olympics up there in Calgary. James Reimer, 16, 13, and 4, 280 goals against, a 916 save percentage, and 1 shutout in net for San Jose. I was expecting him to get traded before the deadline. There were rumors that he was going to go back to Toronto. I would have been fine with that. We could have traded you guys Peter Mrazek, and he cleared waivers. It'll be Jacob Markstrom, 29, 11, and 7 with a 206 goals against, a 928 save percentage, and that league-leading 9 shutouts for the Flames. San Jose just 27th in the league in goals for at 2.60. They're 19th in goals against at 3.11. The Flames are 6th in goals for at 3.44. They're 2nd in goals against at 2.40. Flames 7-1 in their last 8 on 2 days of rest. 6-1 in their last 7 against the Pacific Division. 15-3 in their last 18 at home. Meanwhile, the Sharks just 1-6 in their last 7 after a win. 1-7 in their last 8 on the road. They're 0-5 after giving up 2 goals or less. Brian, I know you're a Sharks fan. I know that you're probably excited that they signed Thomas Hertl to an extension. They didn't make any major deals. It was going to blow up the team. But going to Cowtown and dealing with the Flames is a lot different than beating up on the Kings and the Ducks. I wish the Sharks luck, but I don't know if they're going to have a ton of success against the stout Calgary team.
A couple quick questions here. This is from James and from Bill. They want to know what you think of the Middle Tennessee game tonight, and also in James's case, he wants to know about Northern Colorado as well. So, Bill wants to know about Middle Tennessee and Colorado. James, just the first part of that.
I think Middle Tennessee and Abilene Christian will go over. I mean, we talked yesterday about both those games. Abilene Christian beat Ohio 91-86. Middle Tennessee completely slaughtered Boston U 76-46. So we know both teams can put up points. The total, I think, is at 141.5, or at least that's what it was this morning. I actually have that one further down the list in the menu, but I think that one's going to end up over the number. As far as Northern Colorado, oh geez, Northern Colorado just likes to get in track meets because they can't play defense. Turned out I was wrong yesterday, and Sean and all those guys were right. Northern Colorado beat UNC Asheville by 3. Now they have to play UNC Wilmington. We've talked about Wilmington before, but Colorado State, or no, sorry, not Colorado State, Jesus. Northern Colorado, still a very suspect team on the defensive end of the floor. They are 322nd in defensive efficiency. They don't force turnovers. They let opposing teams shoot a ton of threes. UNC Wilmington, they're not a terrific offensive team by any stretch, but when you play a team like Northern Colorado that gives away buckets like they're candy, they can pile up some points. I mean, they had some good offensive numbers at times this season. I think that one, let's see, what did I put down for that? I think that one will probably end up over the mark. I know it's a pretty high number because it has to be when you're talking about Northern Colorado. You just look at the numbers at some of the totals they gave up this year, 95, 94 to Idaho, 85 to Montana State, 87 to Montana State, 79 to Portland State. They like high-scoring games, so I'd probably lean towards the over there.
We got another quick one, and this is from Darnell. So we talked about St. Bonnie.
So you basically want to take all 5 of the college games tonight and try to cluster them up into a parlay. I don't like Northern Colorado. I didn't like them yesterday. It didn't pan out. I don't like them today either. Like I said, UNC Wilmington will slow things down. Steve Smiley's team can't play defense. They give up a lot of easy baskets. I think that Wilmington was favored by 2.5 last I looked. It could have changed since then. But I like Wilmington in that one. The other ones, I like. I think I leaned Middle Tennessee over Abilene Christian. I just think that the Blue Raiders have an experience factor working for them. The other three I was fine with. I like Southern Utah with the points. I like Bonaventure with the points, and I like Vanderbilt with the points. Of course, that line got sliced. Vanderbilt was a 4 or 4.5 point underdog, and now I think it was down to 2 or 2.5. But either way, I think Vanderbilt should beat Xavier. I'm not a big fan of what the Musketeers have done. And hey, Nathan, I was wrong about Northern Colorado and UNC Asheville. I mean, not everybody's gonna. Not everybody's gonna. You can't be right 100% of the time, like we said. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called gambling. It'd be called something
Right.
else. I guess it would be called going to the ATM.
Right.
But Wilmington over, Middle Tennessee under. What did I say about this? I think with Northern Colorado, they're prone to give up points no matter who they play. Let's be honest. Middle Tennessee, I think, is going to go over the number. I just think that Abilene Christian likes to run. Middle Tennessee doesn't really care. And if you look at how far Abilene Christian blew past the number in both their first two games, they beat Troy 82-70, then they beat Ohio 91-86. They're 37th in the country in tempo. Middle Tennessee 177, so they're not adverse to running. They just play good defense. But I still think 140. I think that one's at 141.5 or something like that. I think Middle Tennessee and Abilene Christian will go over the mark. UNC Wilmington, Northern Colorado, I'd lean over just because of the fact that we know Northern Colorado can score. I'm just not. I'd be more leery about that total than Abilene Christian, Middle Tennessee.
Nathan wants to give you some props there.
Well, that's like I said. I said I was wrong on UNC Asheville, Northern Colorado. So, like I said, if we were right 100% of the time, it'd be called going to the ATM instead of gambling.
Darnell wants to know about Wilmington or Middle Tennessee State on the under.
Yeah, like I said, I think Middle Tennessee will go over. I just think, like we said, Abilene Christian put up a ton of points in their two games. And then you look at Middle Tennessee. Like I said, they hung 76 yesterday. They kept BU's guys in check because we talked about Sukmail Mathon and McCoy, and those two only had one. Or Mathon had 12. McCoy had 11. So that was a good job on their part of shutting those guys down. They held BU to 5 of 25 shooting from 3-point range. That's a good way to beat a team is, make sure they don't make any shots. And that was basically the difference in the game because it was a 4-point game midway through the half, and then Middle Tennessee pulled away. They were up 14 at the half. They were up 24 midway through the second half and just piled it on. BU was overmatched. I don't think Abilene Christian will be overmatched, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game that goes over 141.
Good to see Tim Earl out there. Good to see always, Timmy. Let's talk before we go to the NBA. Here's our second promotion from BetMGM today, and that is to use your BetMGM app for the first time, place a bet of at least $10 on any NBA game and get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Click the BetMGM link in our show box below to play. Remember, you have to be 21 years of age to play. Always bet responsibly. That's a fun deal. Again, one real quick reread, and that is that if you're a first-time user of your BetMGM app, bet at least $10 on one NBA game tonight, and you get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Go to the show box below. Check it out with all the other fun stuff we have in the show box, okay? Again, must be 21 years of age to participate. Bet wisely, and let's go to the hardwood in the NBA.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks over the Bulls. The Bucks favored by 7. Chicago played last night. They beat the Raptors. Finally got out of that slide they've been having of late. where they had lost, I think it was 8 of 10 or something along those lines. But now they've got to go to Milwaukee. I know the Chicago's 8-6 in the second game of back-to-back situations this year, but they only outscore their opponents by the narrowest of margins, 0.1 points a game. They're at 112.9. They give up 112.8. You look at the injury report for the Bulls. Lonzo Ball, of course, still out. Zach LaVine is questionable with a sore knee, so watch out for that. Meanwhile, the Bucks have Giannis Antetokounmpo as probable. DeAndre Bembry done for the year. Chris Middleton is out with a sore wrist, so it'll be interesting to see how the Bucks atone for that. But you look at the numbers here. The Bulls 10th in scoring offense, second in field goal percentage, second in three-point shooting. The Bucks middle of the road defensively, 17th in scoring defense at 111.3. They're 10th in field goal percentage defense, 15th in three-point defense. You look at the Bucks are third in scoring offense, though, at 114.9. That's a pretty big number to deal with. You're talking about teams up there like Memphis and Charlotte are the teams up in that range as well. 12th in field goal percentage, 46.4. Fourth in three-point shooting. The Bucks middle of the road defensive, or the Bulls middle of the road defensively, but they're 23rd in field goal percentage defense, 25th in three-point defense. The Bucks 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 as a favorite. The Bulls just 2-9 in their last 11 overall against the spread. They're 0-5 in their last 5 road games against teams with a winning home record. And they're 0-5 in their last 5 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. I know the Bulls are trying to catch the Milwaukee for the Central Division crown with 11 games to go. They're 2 games back. Well, it goes to 3 games back and 10 games to go because Chicago, I think, heavy legs are going to get the best of them in the fourth quarter, and the Greek Freak will carry Milwaukee to a win in front of the Fiserv Forum sellout crowd.
Yeah, and the good news is that Chicago only has to go 90 miles to play this game. So,
well, there you go. So that's a plus.
Just get on the bus and go up to Dan Ryan, and you'll be there. So, from Milwaukee, we head to
Madison Square Garden.
Not the Garden.
Yeah.
7 floors above Penn Station. There you go.
Of course, you got the Hawks who, can't embrace success, and you've got the Knicks who started well and then went right down the toilet. The Hawks are 35-36. They don't play well on the road. The Knicks are 30-41. They don't play well anywhere. The Hawks 7th in the league in scoring offense, 112.9 points a game. They're 9th in field goal percentage. They are 3rd in three-point shooting at 37%. The Knicks are good defensively. They're 8th in scoring defense, 5th in field goal percentage defense, 11th in three-point defense. The problem is the Knicks don't score. That should say offense. I don't know why I typed defense. It was a long day. They're 27th in scoring offense at 106. They're 27th in field goal percentage at 43.5, which kind of negates the fact that they're 13th in three-point shooting. Atlanta struggled defensively. They're 22nd in scoring defense at 112.1, 25th in field goal percentage defense, 26th in three-point defense. But it's a short line. The Hawks have the best player in the game, in this particular game, I should say, in Trae Young. They're 5-2 in their last 7 against teams with a losing home record. The Knicks are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 at home. They're 1-6 in their last 7 after an ATS loss, and they're 0-4 in their last 4 as a home underdog. Just take a quick look at the injury report there to see if there's anything exciting. We know John Collins is out with a finger sprain, and he's also got, I guess they've found something torn in his foot. So he's out indefinitely. Lou Williams out for personal reasons. Bogdan Bogdanovic, not to be confused with Bojan Bogdanovic.
Bogdanovic.
As Charles Barkley would tell you, I'll take the bigger Bogdanovic.
Right.
Questionable with a quad for the Knicks. Nerlens Noel out again with a foot injury. Julius Randle is expected to miss the game with a sore quad. Cam Reddish done for the year with that shoulder injury. Derrick Rose still battling back after a second ankle procedure. Kemba Walker not with the team. Also not suiting up for the Knicks tonight. Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, or Willis Reed.
Right.
In case anybody was wondering if they were going to be in the lineup.
Yeah, in case they're in the building. Real quick, everybody, just want you to know that we're part of the Max Wagers team. It's a great network. Start your midday with Midday Money with Sean Higgs at noon. Then Allie Burns, our buddy, Morningwood from 1 to 2. We're up at 2 to 3. Then you move on to Back to the Window with Scott and Scott. That's 3 p.m. And then the Game Time Decision with the aforementioned Tim, who was with us just a few minutes ago, his brother Nick, and of course Detroit Lenny. So that's our lineup right here on the Max Wagers Network. Now, real quick, let's talk a little bit about my buddy next door here, and that's Chris. Every day, Chris will send you the best parlay tickets to play, usually made up of 1, 2, 4-teamers or greater. All right. Not everyone's going to win, but the odds are that Chris is going to give you some things to have some very much fun with, and perhaps, just perhaps, win. In the last 3 weeks, Chris has won 6 2-teamers, 2 4-teamers, 1 6 2 8, earning a better of $100, over $30,000, and he's even done better than that. Check out the show box below, because you can't text him, or you can't use your Twitter account to get these sent to you. You have to sign up in the show box below, and there's plenty of room there. It's got all the information on that. Now, we've been telling you that we're also going to have a contest coming up, so keep a lookout for this. And this is something we really want you to do. Take the information that Chris gives you, okay? And as we've said before, mix and match whatever you want. That's why we give you these 2 for the money, 4 for the show, and the the menu, as we call it. What you need to do is if you use those and you bet, send us the ticket via social media, okay, to one of our one of our Twitter accounts with a picture of it, and you will be put into the mix for a special, very cool gift, which is coming very soon. So just a little heads up, the contest is going to start soon, but tell you what, if you start sending us stuff, we'll put you in the contest the moment the contest begins, which should be in the next week or two, okay? Once March Madness gets out of the way. So be sure to send us those winning tickets with wagers that you made based on what Chris has done. If you want Chris's parlays sent directly to you, all of that, along with all the BetMGM stuff, along with all the information on the free contest that we are having on Sweet 16, plus the free Sweet 16 magazine, all of it is down below in the show box. Just hit more and it all falls down, okay? All right. It's time to go for 2 for the money, my friend. And let's see what we got for 2 for the money today.
Well, yeah, just Brody said, John Starks is going to play for the Knicks because, hey, they need somebody to play the guard spot. Why not? I think they might get Charlie Ward on a 10-day contract, too.
Mm-hmm.
But we just talked about the Hawks and the Knicks. I'm still going to ride with Atlanta. I think Trae Young, he had a coming out party there in the playoffs last year and kind of, made New York look bad. I don't think New York's ever recovered from it. I'm going to take the Hawks -3. And we said the Bucks over the Bulls. The Bulls playing the same game of back-to-back. Milwaukee is rested, and they're at home. You have to like Milwaukee.
What do you say on the number 3 one, Calgary and San Jose? Out of respect for our buddy Ryan, you just won't talk about that.
Yeah, we'll just say that Jacob Markstrom is playing well in net for Calgary, and the Flames. They made some smart moves at the deadline, bolstering that team for the future. Speaking of making moves for the rest of the season, the Rangers were active like we predicted they would be,
for sure,
with all the money that they had under the cap. Getting Andrew Kopp and Tyler Mott and those guys will be good 3rd, 4th line grinders to help bolster out the forward group for them. I look for them to beat New Jersey. Bill, yeah, I do baseball. I do the WNBA. I've even done the KBO and stuff for a while, which is always interesting because people are like, I didn't even know half those teams existed. Well, nobody knew the Hiroshima Toyo Carp existed either for a while, so.
Now we know.
But yeah, to answer your question, I do.
We'll get there. We're not. It's not quite baseball time yet, but
but at least it's on the horizon, which we wouldn't have thought a few weeks ago.
True, and we're going to have some baseball experts on to talk about it. So there you go.
Yeah, and we'll talk here. We talked about Middle Tennessee. I'm going to give them the edge. It's only a 1.5 point line over Abilene Christian. I saw that someone mentioned. Frank Valenzuela said that the total for that game actually went down to 138.5. So it went down. It was 141.5 earlier. So if it went down, hey, more power if you want to play the over in that one. Like I said, I like Southern Utah over UTEP. I just think the Thunderbirds' ability to run and pile up points will overwhelm UTEP's defensive presence, and the Miners don't do a ton offensively. Then I like the Nuggets over the Clips. I know Tim's probably riding the Nikola Jokic triple-double train bet again because he said it's pretty much a standard for him. Then, of course, there's the Penguins with a ridiculous money line because Columbus is terrible. And, it'll be Eunice Corpusalo in net for the Blue Jackets against Tristan Jerry for the Penguins. I just think the Penguins are the far better team at this point of the year and should come up with the victory there. There you go. Tim said the Jokic triple-double bet is going at plus 225 today.
Whoa.
And we know Tim already bet it, so we don't have to ask.
We don't have to ask. All right. Time for the menu.
Yeah, now take note, there's only 5 college basketball games and 4 NBA games today, so it kind of makes things a little bit interesting where we had to go and lean towards totals and stuff like that. But I'm going to go with Vanderbilt. It was 2.5 when I did the slide. God knows what the number is now. It could have changed 55 times since this morning. But I like Vanderbilt. They've played good basketball of late. They had that decent run in the SEC tournament. Jerry Stackhouse seems like he might finally have that school pointed in the right direction.
Plus, they're young, so this is a good opportunity for them to get some much needed practice as they get ready for 2022, 2023. And Xavier is always a good competitor, so should be fun.
Xavier also crumpled up like a
cheap suit,
an empty beer can. Down the stretch. I mean, they bounced back. Sure, they beat Cleveland State by 4. They did beat Florida by double digits, but I think everybody pretty much expected that Florida was going to lose. But Vanderbilt,
their new coach. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with Vanderbilt. I mean, they beat Dayton. Dayton was a good team in the A10. They beat Belmont before that. So we're not talking about they beat a couple of pushovers. And, I consider Xavier to be basically a pushover at this point in time. Like I said, I'm going to take UNC Wilmington minus 2.5 over Northern Colorado. We saw Northern Colorado in another track meet yesterday. We know Wilmington can exploit bad defenses, even with their mediocre shooting. But so I'll lean towards Wilmington. We talked about Southern Utah and UTEP. I'm going to look for that to go over the total. We said Southern Utah likes to score points, and they run a lot. Middle Tennessee, I had it at 141.5. Like I said, Frank said it's down to 138.5, which is even better because, hey, the lower the total is, the easier it is to go over. Speaking of that, I'm going to look for the Clippers and Nuggets to stay under 222.5. The under is 35, 15, and 2 in the last 52 meetings between these teams. And the Clippers have to adjust to playing in the thin air of Denver. They also, of course, don't have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard or Norman Powell.
Right.
Meanwhile, the normal guys are still out for Denver. Yeah, we talked about the Bulls and the Bucks. I think with the Bulls playing the second game of back-to-back, that's going to slow them down a little bit. Milwaukee will be content to score 115 or so and win, as opposed to scoring 130. Golden State and Orlando, let's face it, we just watched Orlando score 90 points against Oklahoma City the other day. Sure, they won the game, but they still only scored 90. Meanwhile, you're looking at a Golden State team that doesn't have Steph Curry. He's out with that foot issue. Iguodala won't play again. Quindary Witherspoon's down in the G League. James Wiseman, out again. I guess he suffered a setback, so who knows if we'll see him play at all this year. Moses Moody's questionable. Andrew Wiggins is probable, but with Draymond Green back, you have to think that Golden State will crank up the defensive pressure, and facing an Orlando team that doesn't score anyway, it should stay short of the total. Like Sly just said, the Red Wings are favored, so Detroit Lenny should be happy. Well, they're playing the Flyers. I think anybody basically could play the Flyers and be favored at this point, except maybe Montreal. Dallas over Edmonton. Edmonton, of course, played last night. They lost in overtime to Colorado. Now they have to go to Dallas, where the Stars play very good hockey at home. Jake Ottinger in net for the Stars. He's taken over the number one job almost by default because Braden Holtby apparently is hurt. I guess he's got a hangnail or something. And Ottinger's played well. I think he'll get the better of Edmonton, who's going to be dragging in the third period. And finally, in the game where it's, how that's, I can't believe it's not butter. I can't believe this is a game. The Coyotes at home at minus 110 over the Kraken.
With the $15 beer.
Yeah. As for Nathan, I like Calgary. I had them near the top there. Winnipeg, I picked them over. Oh crap! Who are they playing? Is it Vegas? I think it's Vegas. Sly would know, but I'll just look it up anyway. Yeah, they're playing Vegas. Vegas got blanked yesterday by Minnesota. Winnipeg's at home. Vegas is just unraveling. They don't have a goaltender to speak of. They're going to rely, I guess, on Brassard and Thompson at this point. Because I don't know what the status on Leonard is, if he's going to miss the rest of the year or what. But you look and you see Vegas is 0-4 in their last 4 as a road underdog. They're also 0-8 in their last 8 games against Central Division teams. And they've lost the last 4 meetings to the Jets. So playing at home as a rested team with Connor Hellebuyck in net, I'm going to roll with Winnipeg over Vegas. Jim has left the building, so apparently something disconnected on him. So we'll wait for him to return and see what other. There he is. Oh, look at that. Well, no, he's just a black box. There's Jim.
There we go. This has been one of those days when Firefox has not been good to any of us. So there you go from that standpoint. So kind of crazy. I'm assuming we finished the. I assume we finished the list, the one that we love to call the menu. So, any final questions before both of our browsers crash, Chris?
Well, I just answered Nathan. He asked about Calgary and Winnipeg. I heard Scruggs is questionable too, so I'm wondering if he's only 70 or 75% for Xavier. Either way, I don't like the Musketeers anyway. Mm-hmm. They burned us too many times during the year where we thought they would beat somebody and then didn't.
Sly wants
I think Scottie Pippen is good for the NBA. Well, he's been a solid player. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. Whether his game can transition to the NBA, I mean, nobody thought his dad's game would transition. Right. So, I mean, there's that. I think he'll be decent. I don't think he's going to be a superstar by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he shoots 41% from the floor in his career. He was at 41.8 this year. He shoots 34% from 3, but his actual 3-point percentage has gone down each year. He was at 36.2. Then he was at 35.8, and this year he was at 32.1. Mm-hmm. But at least he shoots free throws well. I mean, that's something that you can't overlook. I think he'd be a valuable 6th or 7th guy in a rotation. I don't think he'll be a starter necessarily, and you have to wonder, would they make him more of a point guard? Because he doesn't have a ton of size at 6'1", 170. I know he's a slasher and everything else, But can he get shots up over some of these bigger guys that you see that are 6'6", 6'7", is going to be a big concern, I think, as he makes the transition.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that genetics. Yes, genetics have something to do with it, but doesn't always translate into being a star in a league. But in the case of in the case of Pippen, as you say, Chris, I mean, even if you were a sixth or seventh man, a role player like that, you can make good living in the NBA being a role player, and
That's
you
true.
can also make a name for yourself being a sixth or
Vinny the
seventh man.
Microwave Johnson.
That's right. So it doesn't. You don't necessarily always have to be there to get to get what you need, and so yeah, absolutely.
Now,
All
Marlo, are you talking about that Scruggs is the guy on a minute restriction? I'm just curious because maybe he heard something that I didn't.
Yeah.
And it's always good to get information from other places because
Yeah.
not enough time to read everything every day.
Okay, I should have been. I should have been in the NBA Association since Nathan. Okay.
Yeah, we all should have been.
Yeah, those are guaranteed contracts.
Jim played against Otis Birdsong.
Yep.
Who I noticed Jim was on the all-time NCAA tournament team for Houston on ESPN's list today in the Sweet 16.
I wasn't, but yeah,
no, you weren't, but Otis Birdsong was.
Yeah, I still have his knee print in my chest, so there's that.
Maybe you can get him to autograph it for you.
Well, actually, it was funny story about that another time. I'll share that with you. But anyway, guys, as I say, as our browsers hang on for dear life at the moment. Any final questions before we move on, Christopher?
No, it looks like we're good to go.
All right. Anything you what will Chris King be watching tonight on TV? Netflix? Something like any games? Anything that I mean, there's not a game that just jumps out there that you have to watch.
No, especially not in the NBA.
No.
I think the big thing.
As much as I know you want to watch, stay up and watch the Kraken play the Coyotes. I suggest you get some rest on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure I can get it back on ESPN3 tomorrow or whatever.
Right. So watch it.
But there's a lot of good hockey. There's a lot of hockey games tonight. A lot of teams that are battling for playoff position. Tampa Bay, Calgary is going to be a really good game at 7. Right. You can watch St. Louis and Washington. That'll be an interesting game as well.
For sure.
And I'm hoping for Sly that Winnipeg can take down Vegas, pick up a couple points, and tighten up the Western Conference standings. Other than that, not a ton that I feel acclimated to consider tuning into, because like you said, there's a lot of duds. Nobody wants to watch Golden State and Orlando. Nobody wants to watch Atlanta and the Knicks. I mean, the Bulls and the Bucks is probably the best game, and that's not even a TNT game because they're showing Atlanta and New York at 7:30.
There you go.
And who the hell wants to watch that? Look, here's TNT's promo for it. I can see Ernie Johnson sitting there. Yes, tonight on TNT, it's a doubleheader where you can watch 2 sub-500 teams take the floor in the Big Apple as the New York Knicks, with no talent whatsoever, host Trae Young and the Hawks. Don't you dare miss it, because we have to be here.
I can hear Charles doing what he did a few years ago when Boston was playing in an early round of the playoffs against an Indiana team, and he said they came back to do the halftime report, and I said, Chuck, so what did you think of the first half? Because I didn't watch it. I was watching Tyler Perry's House of Pain on TBS. And I go, what? He goes, hey, look, I was watching a Turner. A Turner broadcast.
That's true. He's watching a Turner show.
So if Chuck's not going to watch it, why would you, right? So anyway, as I said before, we had a little bit of a technical issue to start it. We had a little bit of technical issue toward the end of it. Chris and I are going to get out of here before the browsers crash and we're just gone. But we will be back. Browsers ready tomorrow at 2:00. Please come back and visit with us. We enjoy having you guys. All the information that we talked about is in the show box below. Be sure to check it out. all of our BetMGM promotions, which there are 2 great ones there. Chris's parlays and how to get them sent to your email box, that's down there. The free booklet and contest, all that's down there. So spend a couple of minutes after we're finished here and go down and take a look, because there's a lot of fun things down there. All kinds of goodies, free and otherwise. All right. So for Chris King, I'm Jim Williamson. So long, everybody. We will be back tomorrow, God willing, and the creek don't rise, at 2 o'clock Eastern time for another edition of Just Parlays. So until then, take care and check your Firefox browsers. It's been a weird day.